What are the weirdest names you've seen people name their children? Beautiful Zeppelin Cannon, Powerful Queen Cannon, Rise Messiah Cannon, Exodark Sidereal Musk, Technomechanicus Musk, Apple Martin, Moxie Prime Fighter Gillette, Your Majesty Jackson, Diva Muffin Zappa, Moon Unit Zappa, Zumanester Rock, Pilot Inspector, Fi-Fi Trixabelle, Belcalis Marlene Almansar Cardi B, Bear Pain, Radix Madden, Audio Science, Cricket Pearl, India Falconer, Tomorrow, Snowfilmon.com. Didn't make a single one of these up. Had a friend in high school whose full name was Jesus de la Cruz, which roughly translates to Jesus of the Cross. He hated that name and was always getting shit for it. His parents were extremely religious and kicked him out when he said he was atheist. He's currently doing fine and has cut all ties with his family and has also changed his full name to something he considers more normal. Very chill and down to earth guy. Method rules. X200B. My friend's niece has a son called Ryder Triumph. Here are some terrible combinations with the last name Celebrity Edition. Northwest. Paying homage to a defunct airline that neither of her parents likely flew as if they'd fly commercial. Or a direction on a map. Legendary Love Cannon, one of Nick Cannon's litter. Legendary Love is cringeworthy enough, but with the last name Cannon, it sounds like a nickname a dude would give his dick. Had a college friend whose parents were from Vietnam. His last name is Nguyen, pronounced like Wen with a barely audible G at the beginning. Of all possibilities, his first name was Pin. Speaking his first and last name together, quickly, sounded exactly like Penguin. He insisted we also use his middle name between his first and last names, but we never did. We love that guy. Hudson 4. He went by Hud, Tuesday. Joe, as in just Joe, not Joseph or anything else. Starry. Not short for anything, just Starry. Princess. There's one my kid knows that sounds like they planned for her to be a stripper when she grew up, but I can't think of it. My mom told me about sisters she grew up with. I named her Pig. Stone and his younger brother, Rafe. Male twins named Dominique and Unique, convinced their mom was certain they were gonna be girls and didn't come up with any other names. And twins named Lemon Jello and Lorangello, spelling is probably way off, but their mom loved lemon and orange jello while pregnant and named her kids after them. Knew a family that had a whole bunch of girls with the same name, just slightly modified for spelling. Along the lines of Katerina, Kadorina, Katrina, etc. I think there were like 5 of them. Also had one of those modernized names by a classmate where you just make sure it has an impossible combination of letters. Merlha. In a group of people I didn't know well, I picked up only half a conversation and almost asked if they were talking about their pets. Nope, they were talking about 2 of the girls in the group. I also learned the girls, named Breezy and Cinnamon, had a sister at home. Her name was something similar like Sky or River. Someone I know named their son Deacon and last name Bowles. I've ever so slightly changed the spelling, so hopefully they'd never find this. Which looks like a normal name until you say it out loud. Poor thing hasn't started school yet, but I give it until he's in year 3 before other kids start bringing it up. I was at a tourist site in Colorado years and years ago. It started raining and parents started calling their kids to come inside. A woman yelled, and it was like time stopped. I thought it must have been a weird acoustic in the dwellings, but it wasn't. She was actually yelling for her daughter, Labia. Growing up we had some pretty standard names, but someone would randomly spell their kid's name oddly. Now I hear all these names and wonder who comes up with this shit. I saw some class rosters lately. Hercules, Shaw were some that stood out. There was a strange as hell one I just can't remember. Can't tell if Elon or Nick are the most indifferently abusive, but it's definitely one of them. That second child with Grimes isn't named Optimus Prime, but it isn't better than that. At least the weird symbol child could spark a conversation. Nick's just seemed to be named in honor of his ego. 2 good one sisters in my hometown with the last name Apple, their parents named them Candy and Delisa. And no, they did not grow up to be strippers. Another set of sisters, twins born in December, so their parents named them Decent Ember. Welcome to rural Eastern Washington, people. Smiley face. A friend of a friend named her kid Sativa. Before bud was legal. My nephew's former roommate had a kid. Kid's name? Savory. Savory is an adult by now. I went to school in the 80s with a kid named Guy. Last name was Kisser. I suspect that kid's life was endless gay jokes back then. Well, there was one girl in my sister's class that had moved to the USA from Vietnam. She was actually quite friendly, TBH. However, Her name was BH. Also, I once worked in birth records for the area I live in. One I saw once was I'm what I'm yes, that was his real first name. I work in a lot of public schools and I always check out names on the walls, so here goes. A million, Rientes, AHI, Jenner, Ravon, Jania, Nakaja, Jakira, Jirn, Zamari, Ariana, Dalriona, Kiwaden, Kayasha, Treviant. Yes, these are all names I have seen. The two worst I've ever seen are Yesmel and Shithead pronounced Head. Both ESL school students in Phoenix, Arizona. When I saw Shithead I just about fell out of my chair. I assume she's probably changed her name by now since this was about 10 years ago. My family has an ID printing business. We go through a lot of kids' names. Here's a few that are notable. RR. MM. Jason. Tom Cruise. Yes, this is just the first name. Bual Jack. RZL. Songa and Yasha twins. Phil Collins. Karl Marx. I had a student once 16 years ago whose name was Chlamydia. Her mom was a non-native English speaker at the time of birth and she thought the word was so pretty she couldn't be dissuaded. The student went mainly by the nickname Lydia. ALD nurse told me she knew a mom who named her kid meconium. The woman heard the doctor say it and liked it. Meconium is the first poop a newborn takes, and in this case the baby had taken it inside of his mother on his way out. My friend works in a bank and has a client who goes by a very common name like Joe or something like that. But the name in all his legal documents is something that looks like a math equation with letters and numbers. Public school teacher. Notable names from the past few years: Precious, King, Castle, Freezer, Foxy, Danger, Alpha, Million, Kill, Karma, Divine, Major, Yuma, Persia. Edited to add mouse, Beautiful, Princess. Our guy always want to answer this with the most awful name I have ever seen, but if I Google it, she comes up as the only person with this first name and it also shows where she lives, so I won't post it. Holly. Caitlin. Anakin. Khaleesi. Yes, I know it's a misspelling of Khaleesi. Every time I saw it on the birth certificate it was spelled Khaleesi. And my personal standout boy. That's it, just boy. I met a girl named Bubs. Bubs is slang for baby infant in New Zealand, where we both live. Also, I worked with a woman named Florida. I don't really find it that weird though, tbh. There was a headline recently about a mother in Australia who wanted to test out the country's baby naming rules. She named her kid Methamphetamine Rules. It was approved. I was doing some backlog filing for a social services office my grandmother worked at in the early 2000s. Lemon Jello and Orange Jello were the worst names I've ever come across. In middle school I went to summer camp and met a girl named Paris. I thought it was a pretty cool name. Then I found out her last name was France, pronounced like France. I ref-ed soccer for youth kids and there was a superstar chick named Clitra. Parents were cheering for her and reaffirmed the pronunciation sounds exactly like looks. Gotta be, with that spelling. I can forgive the Khaleesi's and the Daenerys's, but you know what kind of person Cersei is from the goddamn start. My brother and his Arthur. So everyone would have to Kaheen Sir. No. Unfortunately none of us could come up with a suitable nickname. Some people in NZ named W child after a bus stop. Like Mongery bus stop 35 of something. Presumably a lifelong reminder conception occurred at a bus stop. Abt, pronounced Absidy. Avari, pronounced Avery. Loki. Lucifer. Desai supposed to be Deja but mom and dad couldn't spell. Those came to mind immediately. I used to volunteer with scouts. The worst I've heard were Cain and Abel, two twin boys. The dad thought it was badass but I think it's just stupid. I was a human services case manager for several years and have seen it all when it comes to weird dumb names. My personal favorite was Pimpin', Buck Rogers and Wonder Woman. Two really cute kids with two really strange parents. And yes, those are their real legal first and middle names. Methamphetamine Rules. I knew a girl named Shakina. Not Shakina, but Shakina. Her parents said it was biblical. I wanted to say, so are Sarah and Mary. Just watched the Home and Garden show. One of the people on the show was Blue Beach. Beach is the last name and her sister was Snow Beach. Null. Why would you name your kid Null? I also feel really sorry for all the girls named Khaleesi or Daenerys before the show ended. Friend from high school had twins Cheeky F and Torch M. Conceived on honeymoon to Hawaii. I still can't believe it 3 years later. Vanilla first name, Pepper middle name. If you're gonna name your kid after ingredients, at least make it a combo that makes sense. I once saw a mom call out to her kid Cuba. She had 2 kids but I can't remember the other name. It was also something unusual. I knew two sisters named Nova and Chevelle. Odd, but the names are technically nice sounding emo, so I never gave it much thought. I didn't see it, but in my 5th grade class, someone was named Keondrish. I personally think it is a weird name. Used to know a dude named Moonshine. Parents were raging alcoholics. Only excuse I can think of for a name like that. Shit. I had a friend whose cousin's last name was Buse, pronounced Bots, and they named their son Harry. In 2020. Harry. Why? Friend's friend named their daughter Fox. When our firstborn was born, a kid born down the hallway was named Bullet. I work with a guy whose name is Crow, sister is Robin, and the other sibling is Wren. Apparently the parents love birds. Alexander, former student. Sparkle, former classmate who lived up to her name. She was such a wonderful person. I have no idea how it's spelled, but I knew someone whose name sounded just like this. Yahoo Kanani Aditi Yash Errol. Captain Munnerlin, former NFL cornerback. My parents and I often wondered, who the hell named their kid Captain? Mahogany just showed up on my local hospital billboard for babies born this week. Will they call it Hog for short? Albert Einstein. Fortunately he changed his surname to Brooks and found some success in the entertainment industry. Puritans named a kid Fly Fornication. We were first Euro settled by those freaks and were yet to overcome them. My mom used to clean for a family with the last name Liar. They named their daughter Chand. I wish I was joking. I have a friend who used to work as a teacher. She once had a kid in her class named Abkt, pronounced Absidy.